everybody. This is Dr. Alex Avila with Love University, and we're back. I'm an author, psychologist, and speaker. Every week we talk about how to love ourselves, others, and a higher nature, how to improve our love, relationships, finances, career, health, and spirituality. And today we have a very interesting topic, a little bit somber, but also hopeful at the same time. Right now we're suffering, unfortunately, with the virus worldwide, and people are dying. It's very sad. One of my friends, her brother-in-law contracted the virus, and he was okay, but his father died from it. And then also another of her friends actually is in critical condition right now. They're both youngish men. So it's very sad, but there's also hope. And today we're going to talk about that hope and how we can turn this tragedy into a triumph. Our special guest today is Ashley Jackson. Ashley holds a master's degree in human resources management. She's traveled in over 50 countries in the world. She holds a 5K run in honor of her dad's memory, charity run. And she's a creator of an amazing new business called Timeless Dream Events, event planning for the terminally ill. It's really a fascinating story. And it started, and she'll tell us more about it, when her fiance at the time proposed to her in January of 17. 2 months later, he had a critical terminal cancer diagnosis. But they still wanted to get married, and they actually got married, and he recovered. And she started her amazing business. Welcome, Ashley, to the show.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Well, tell us what happened. I mean, this must be an amazing thing, difficult at the time with your fiance. Tell us what happened.
Yeah, absolutely. So back in January of 2017, actually January 1st, he proposed to me at Cinderella's Castle at Disney World.
Oh.
So we were obviously on this amazing high, and he was not feeling well, and there was actually a big knot that formed on his forehead, and I said, okay, this isn't right, so we need to go get it checked out. Well, test after test, doctor after doctor, we heard that it was stage 4. It was a squamous carcinoma of the nasal cavity in stage 4.
Wow.
And the doctors, at that time said, don't worry about it. You're young. We're going to get this taken care of and you'll be okay. So, I mean, we sat there and we were like shocked. Like we just thought maybe he had a bump from, something random, like maybe he got hit and, so we were just like, what? Because I was 31 at that time and he was 37. So we just weren't thinking stage 4 cancer. So then he immediately jumped right into some harsh chemo treatment. It was called cisplatin. So if anybody knows anything about that, it's rough. You lose hair, taste, your taste buds change. You're just sick. And mind you, I hadn't even promised this man yet. Like we weren't even married.
Okay.
But I told him that we would fight this together.
I see. Tell me, had a 35% survival rate. Is that about right?
Yeah, it's 35% at that stage. And I believe even at stage 1, because it's a rare cancer anyways. And I believe when I was looking at statistics, even if it would have been stage 1, I think it was still about 60% survival rate. So, yeah. And
so how did you feel at the time? It must have been devastating. I mean, have you had death in the family before? Is this something that was surprising to you?
Yes. So my dad actually passed away from a brain aneurysm. It was quick. We weren't expecting it. He wasn't sick or anything. It was just bam. Labor Day. It will be 9 years ago this year, Labor Day. He just passed away. So I carried that, that heaviness before, So
how did the fiance's sudden illness strike you?
Shocking. And I'm not gonna lie, I was a little angry, because my dad was my best guy, and then now I'm dating this wonderful man. And then, when anybody hears cancer diagnosis, immediately, no matter what you say, immediately you think death. I mean, it is what it is. And I'm like, really? really. Like, I already lost my dad, and now I'm looking at him. I just promised him that we could spend together, forever, and now we have this to fight.
So at that
So,
point,
I
okay,
mean,
so at that
it was
point, now, did he still want to get married? Did you want to get married, or how did that work out? Because you guys did get married, I understand.
Yeah, we did. It was never a doubt of getting married.
Hmm.
The only thing was I wanted to push it back.
Ah,
Like, I
okay.
asked, can we postpone?
Yes.
Because we had actually set our date and did the down payment and
Ah,
everything on our
right.
venue. I said, well, can we at least just like push back the date,
Hmm.
you know, maybe to the following year? But in his mindset, that was what was pushing him to, fight the cancer, get through the treatment, was our wedding date.
Ah.
So I could understand that,
Hmm.
and I just stopped asking.
Well, what day
I
did he
do
want? I mean,
remember
so
asking.
in March, he got diagnosed after January getting engaged. What day did he want to get married at the time?
We had set August of 2018.
Oh, okay. So it's only like 4 or 5 months after that diagnosis.
Yeah,
Okay, so he wanted that, and you wanted what? Maybe next year or something, or
I wanted it like 2019 because I just didn't
oh,
know what
oh, 2 years.
all the treatment was
Oh,
going.
I see. Okay,
I didn't know
I see.
what we were going to be up against,
Okay, so I
really.
assume he convinced you to do the earlier date.
Um, well, so like I said, we had already set the date,
Ah,
and did the down payment.
right.
So, and he was thinking like, oh, am I going to have to like pay all
Oh, I
over
see. Okay,
again?
economic issues.
So,
Okay.
yeah. But
But you had some second doubts. It sounds like, right? You wanted to make sure everything was okay through the chemo.
yeah, and he was tired. So like, and I just didn't know if he would actually be
Right. Okay.
like up and
I see.
moving.
I see.
So,
I see. So you
that
decided
was
to
my
do it,
thought.
and you did get married. I assume on August of 17.
August 11th of
Wow!
2018, we
Congratulations,
got
brother.
married.
That's awesome.
Thank
We're
you. Yeah, we
actually
just celebrated 2 years.
okay. Now he did survive. He's alive now,
Yes.
and this is 2 year anniversary, right? I think. Is it?
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
Now, what would happen? I mean, unfortunately, if he would have died, would you have regretted the choice, or would you have been happy to have married him?
I would have been very happy to have married him. I wouldn't have regretted it for a second. I loved him through and through.
Yes.
Um, and I've had multiple women and older men that have
Mm.
told me like, wow, you did what, and you weren't even married to him. A couple people have said that they didn't know if they could have done that.
Yes.
And I didn't, to me, it was just, that's who I love and that's who I'm going to
Yes.
support. I didn't think anything of it,
I see.
that I didn't think there was an option to leave.
I see what you're saying. Well, that's a beautiful,
So
kind of idea you have. And then from this, apparently you've got an inspiration to create a business out of this. I think you call it event planning or catering for the terminally ill people and loved ones. You call it timeless dream event. And I think one of your videos has said that timeless means like no limit. So I'm kind of curious about this
yes.
idea. Like, are you doing like birthday parties and weddings for people that are like terminally ill, their loved ones? And also, I think the idea of a baby shower for a baby that was stillborn. I mean, is this the kind of stuff you'll be doing?
Um, so yeah, I would be planning, weddings, showers, birthdays, uh, whatever is needed. I just want to help people celebrate love and
Right.
life,
Right.
especially while that person is here,
Yes.
because, it's cliche, but tomorrow is not guaranteed,
Mhm.
today. So,
Right. But how about the idea of some
and I
people say,
know, what's that again?
oh, the idea about the baby shower, the stillborn baby who's dead, isn't that kind of macabre to do that? Like, kind of like hard or painful to have that, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, it would be. It would be a very, and I loosely say this term, interesting to
Hmm.
do.
Hmm.
But because of COVID-19, a lot of people are having to pivot and shift the way
Yes.
they do events.
Ah.
So, I've seen brides with masks on,
Yes.
funerals being live
Yes.
on Facebook,
Yeah.
because a lot of family members can't be there in person, but they still want to feel a
Right.
part of
Right.
something.
Plus, a baby, I
Um,
mean, for some people, it might be a symbol of love that, you have this baby that's in a higher place, let's say. Maybe you're celebrating that part of it, I would think.
right. And that's my biggest thing is I want to celebrate the love and the life.
Yes.
Even though, the baby might not have been alive,
Yes.
at least it would help that mother or that father,
Yes.
work through some of those emotions because that's
Definitely.
emotional.
Right. You can also say, I mean, if you have a
For
spiritual
sure.
belief that exists in some way, in a spiritual way. And the other thing is, I know nowadays it's kind of common to do what's called celebration of life events. Do you do that kind of stuff too? Where, I mean, they're already gone, but you still celebrate their life?
Yeah, I would definitely host events for someone in that nature as well.
Yes.
Absolutely. That's kind of almost like a repass, or what they would call a repass. After someone,
Yes.
um, the funeral, they have maybe a dinner afterwards.
Okay.
At least I know that's what we did for my dad when he passed away. We
Yes.
had dinner,
Right.
family and friends, whoever wanted to, comfort, be there as a comfort,
Yes.
they were invited.
I think about our community, Latin community. They do like I think it's a 1 year thing they do. I think it's through the Catholic Church or something. They do some kind of ceremony
Oh, okay.
after death. Now,
Interesting.
now this is a new business. I know you just started this, so I think you haven't actually done events of this magnitude yet. No, these terminally ill events.
Correct.
But you have obviously a lot of experience. You've been an event planner for a while, I believe. You've been doing this kind of thing.
Yeah, for about 8 years now.
Oh, okay, so you have a lot of experience. Now, I don't know if you ever seen the show, actually, Shark Tank on television. Have you seen that one? Where people come on with business
Yes, I have.
ideas.
I
Oh, okay.
binge watch
So
it
I'm
from
going to
time
play
to
the
time.
role. I'm going to play the role of this guy, Mr. Wonderful. Do you know Mr. Wonderful, by the way? The guy that's kind of tough on you. Your smile is frozen for a second here, but hopefully it'll come. Okay. Do you know Mr. Wonderful on the show? That
Which one is that?
Kevin O'Leary, the guy that's kind of a tough guy.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So
Yes.
I'm gonna
Okay.
pretend I'm him. I mean, of course, I'm gonna help you because I want to give you a lot of money, and hopefully, people who listen to the show may want to donate to what you're doing, which I think is a great thing. You're not a nonprofit, are you yet, or do you have a
No,
nonprofit?
I'm not nonprofit.
Oh, okay.
No.
I can see this can be a wonderful humanitarian, community kind of thing people can help you with. Okay, actually, you're on actually Dr. Avila's Love University Shark Tank, so I'm nicer than that guy, I think. But first of all, what's the market for this? Do you know how many terminally ill people? How many terminally ill people are there in America that may need the service? Have you ever thought of that, like throughout the country?
No, and
That's a bad
actually,
answer.
I have some friends that work.
You gotta
I
have
have
the
some friends that work at hospice.
yes.
What was that?
Well, that was a bad answer. I mean, you have
Oh,
to know your numbers, but okay, go ahead.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I do have some friends that work at hospice that I've been, networking with,
Yes,
to let you know people know there that of my services. Hospital chains. I'm well connected with the hospital
yes,
that my husband Troy was getting his treatments at. So, I mean, I know of places and where to plug into to get the word out for
definitely. Oh,
timely
there could be
stream
thousands. I don't
events.
know if you looked it up on the internet how many people die a year. I'm sure they're a big number, and then some of them are terminally ill, over time. And I'm sure the loved ones
Oh,
also.
especially,
Yes,
yeah.
especially what?
I was going to say, especially for cancer,
Yes, definitely.
the numbers are
Right.
really
And I'm
high.
sure there's a lot of need for this idea that you're celebrating, the love you have for the person before they die. Reggie, my producer, can you look that up? How many people die a year in the U.S.?
Sure.
Okay, give us a
Right,
number on
hold
that.
on.
And of course, again, you want to help the families. Now, the other thing in Shark Tank, I love Shark Tank. Do you have competitors, actually? This is a very unique idea. I haven't heard this before. But are there people that do terminally ill events, as far as you know?
Yes, actually, there is one that I know of in Columbus, Ohio. So I live near Dayton, Ohio,
Right.
but they are actually all nonprofit,
Oh, okay.
and there's like a time frame that they're allowed to do weddings within. Me, I'm I'm open Sunday through Saturday.
I
Whenever
see.
you need
Yes.
something, I'm here.
Okay.
Theirs is more during the week.
I see what you're saying.
So yeah,
I see. So basically,
and
so let's
yeah,
say one person has cancer, unfortunately, maybe 6 months to live, and they want to get married. So you would actually do that marriage. You would, what do you do? Tell me your things that you would do for them.
yeah. So I not only would I plan their wedding, but because I've been in a situation like them, I can help guide that person that is the caregiver
Yes.
to seeking help, whatever that may look like for that person, as well as planning their wedding. Like I mentioned before, I have a videographer, photographer, caterer, makeup artist,
Wow.
and etc.
Okay.
of people that are ready and willing
Yes.
to step in with a limited time frame.
Now, have you ever heard of two people that have cancer at the same time who want to get married, and they both have terminal illnesses? Is that possible?
Oh wow, now that
That's
could be, I mean,
That'd be interesting. I mean, if it
it's
happens, right?
it's not impossible.
Wow.
Yeah,
It's like, Romeo and Juliet.
it's not
You
impossible
remember Romeo and
at all.
Juliet,
So
the story of the two that I guess they committed suicide at the time, but they both died together anyway. Because their love was eternal. Do you remember that story?
right.
Yes. So I guess somehow these things. Although it seems in some ways some people are macabre or kind of sad. I guess some people don't like the idea of funerals at all, right? The idea of being around dead people, unfortunately. So what's your feeling about it? I mean, are you immune to this? Because you've gone through this a couple of times.
Oh no, I'm not immune at all.
So when you go to a dead person place, you don't.
Funerals make me sad.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Uh,
But why would you
yeah,
want to be
yeah,
in this field?
funerals
You're
make
going to
me
be around,
sad.
unfortunately, people that may die soon.
Uh,
What attracts you to this?
right, right. But I have gotten to a point where, I can be strong for others.
Yes.
So, I can be that person that they lean on and need support from.
Yes.
But I do have the compassion
Yes.
as well to help others. So, I'm passionate and compassionate. It's not something that I'm immune to, but I wouldn't let it bring me, down to the point where I want to be able to be a pillar and help
Right.
somebody.
Well, you have a very compassionate face. I mean, you exude, a lot of loving energy. And
Thank you.
you also call yourself, I think, the chief caregiver ambassador. So
Uh-huh.
I wrote a book called Love Types on Myers-Briggs and love and compatibility, and there's something called the caretaker personality. Do you think you're a caretaker personality?
I believe so, especially through everything that I've been through.
Yes.
Yeah. So like when my dad passed, I'm the oldest child. I have a younger brother, so I
Okay.
immediately jumped into a caretaker
Ah,
role.
I see.
Um, to be that person for my mom and my brother. And when I got to the place where I felt like I had grieved his death, it was almost like this happened with Troy. Like, okay, you got not over it, but you worked through this part of life. Let's see what you can do with Troy, your soon to be husband.
I see. Okay.
um, yeah, so I think I would be, if I were to take the test, I would have the caretaker
Yeah, there's someone who's
characteristic.
a caretaker means someone who's a feeling personality, emotional. They're actually kind of practical and concrete, so they can get things done well. They're also structured, so there's good organizers. Also, the caretaker is actually more introverted energy. I don't know if are you introvert or extrovert energy? Do you think?
No, I'm extroverted.
Extrovert. Okay, so you're what we call the E. Okay, you get energy from other people, socializing and things like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so actually, this is a little different. That's called the dutiful hostess, which actually someone loves to throw parties. It's actually the ideal thing for you.
Yeah.
Make sure people are taken care of and entertained. So it's a great hostess. So
Yeah.
you got the right love type for your occupation, in that sense.
Yeah.
So you actually are able to, and also you can network pretty well, right? You can socialize with people.
Yes. Yes. And people always tell me that they usually hear me before they see me because I'm usually
Oh,
like coming into a room either laughing or,
oh,
hey,
there you go. Hey, all right, I like that. Okay, so you're a very cheery person. Um, now, two things about this. One is, are you a spiritual person at all? Do you have any spiritual beliefs or anything like that?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's the only
Okay.
way that I could work
Are
through.
you a Christian, for example, or a particular religion?
Yes.
Oh, a Christian. Okay.
Yes. Uh-huh.
You know, in the Old Testament, they do say that you don't always want to be cheery with a grieving person because that could be like a wet rag or something on them. So you got to, I guess, monitor that. Have you seen that before? If you're too cheerful, and they're down, is not a good match. But then, if you're down, that may not be a good match either. So how do you do
Right.
that with your clients?
Yeah,
How do you
so
come into them?
yeah, so I try to meet people where they're at.
Yes.
And I feel like I can read a room really well.
Ah, okay.
So if if they're kind of weepy and down,
Yes.
I'm not going to be that way necessarily, but I'm not going to come in and be like, "Hey, where's the party at?"
Exactly. Exactly. Right.
I'll come in there and
Yes.
ask what you would like from me to help you
Exactly.
celebrate the love, the life.
Yes.
Come in there kind of calm, cool, and collected.
That's
But
great. So,
if the energy's up, I'll be up.
there you go. Well, it's kind of like we call it matching and mirroring in psychology, where you match the person, and you're empathetic. So, you kind of feel as they feel, they're sorrowful
Yeah,
and then you can maybe raise the level a little bit, maybe say something positive, maybe a humorous thing at some point when they're ready for it. But everything's timing, as you know. So you have to be
right.
right timing. By the way, my great producer Reggie came up with some statistics.
Oh,
2.7 million people die in the U.S. each year. 600,000 die of cancer. 600,000 people die of cancer. Now I know you're writing this down, right?
yes.
Now think about it. So with 600,000, I mean, it's a horrible thing to think about, but people may need your services. I would think, right? Throughout the
Right.
U.S. And are you U.S. Or are you only focused in Chicago or Illinois?
Well, so I live in Ohio.
Right.
But I am willing because, well, I've traveled quite
Yes, you
extensively.
told me that.
I am willing to travel. I know people have reached out to me and asked me where I'm based. I tell them that I'm based in Ohio, but I'm
Yes.
willing to travel where I'm
Okay.
needed.
Now, are these events going to be virtual? I mean, or live, or what's going to be the scenario right now?
So right now, I would like to focus, in person,
Okay.
and then kind of pivot, as need be to virtual.
But I mean, now because of the virus, I mean, are people willing to get together wearing masks, or how's it going to work out this thing?
Yeah, I believe, especially depends upon like where the venue is
Right.
and
Outdoor, indoors,
who,
definitely.
yeah, and who can get there is
Right.
another thing.
Okay.
But yeah.
Okay. Now, are you physically present, or do you have idea of having people there for you, or what's your idea about
Oh,
that?
I want to be physically
You
present
want to be at
because
the
if
present.
if my name is getting put
Oh,
on
okay.
something, I want to be
Okay.
there.
I get it. Okay. So you're kind of running the show, right? This event, birthday party, anniversary, whatever it is, or wedding, and then you're willing to travel nationwide, right, to do it.
Sure.
Okay. Now,
Yeah.
Kevin O'Leary, the Shark Tank guy, would say, okay, what's your profit potential? Like, do you know what do you charge for these things? How many do you want to do a year, for example?
Yeah, so and it all depends upon exactly what they want or need. So it just all depends upon that. And I focus more on the story that
Ah,
they have to tell me.
okay.
If someone comes to me and they say, I only have, $2,000 or $3,000 budget, well,
Right.
you're
Okay.
not going to get a 6-tier cake and
Hmm.
a 7 quartet band. And,
Okay.
so I take all that stuff into an
Right.
account.
Well, the
Um,
weddings normally can charge up to 20K or $20,000 or more, right? They can get really
Oh
expensive.
yeah, definitely.
More.
Because I'm planning, and she's actually not terminally ill, but I'm planning
Yes.
one of my really good friends' wedding now,
Yes.
and we've already had to add 10K to her budget.
Wow. Okay. They're pretty
And
pricey.
yeah, and she already started.
Okay.
I
But
believe
it's
she
like a
started at
one-time,
2.
lifetime event. These are very special milestones that people go through, especially in the terminally ill. I mean, this is like a lifetime memory, hopefully, that you have.
Right.
And then the idea that I think you are kind of selling memories in some way, marketing beautiful, loving memories, right?
Absolutely. Because I do say a lot, cherished memories are very important. Absolutely. I know Troy, my husband, was getting
Well,
upset
how are
with
you
me.
guys doing, by the way? Everything going good with you
Oh
guys,
yeah, yeah,
love
yeah.
wise, relationship wise? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. He gets upset with me all the time because I take just random pictures, like I'll just snap them. But I'm like, there was a point where, actually, when we got back from our honeymoon,
Yeah.
the doctor told us, because he had had a MRI scan before our wedding, and they
Okay.
said, "Do you want to know the results now or
Right.
when you get back?" And we chose to wait till we
Okay.
got back.
Sure.
Well, they told us to call hospice when we got back.
Ooh.
I said, we just came back from paradise and you're telling me what? He's going to die?
This
Really?
is back in March of 17, or is it
This
recently?
was actually um, back in uh, 2019.
Wow. So he had
Excuse
a
me. Sorry,
relapse.
sorry, sorry, sorry,
No.
sorry. It was the beginning of September of 2018. They told us to
Okay.
call hospice.
Wow. So he
Um,
had another relapse, is what you're saying at the time.
yes. Um, so he had to go through all the chemo and radiation
Wow.
again, and it wasn't
No.
until 2019 is when they said, um, oops, I'm sorry, it wasn't actually like tumor growing, it was necrosis,
Hmm.
which is dead tissue,
Oh,
which
okay.
I still don't understand
So like a
all.
misdiagnosis, they kind of messed up on that. You think?
Um, with the cancer he had, it was all experimental because it's so rare.
Right.
Everything that they did for him was experimental, and we knew that going in.
Hmm.
So, I don't fault them at all. He's had a great
Sure.
team.
Now, how's he doing right
Um,
now? That's the important part. Is
yeah.
he?
Oh,
He's not cancer free,
great.
or he still has the cancer?
Yeah. No, he's cancer free as of
Oh,
March 2020.
congratulations. That's great.
Cancer free.
Awesome.
Thank you, Jesus.
Still
And
working
yeah,
good.
but he's ready to like get out of the house because he was cooped up
Oh, I
before,
see. Okay.
and then COVID hit, and
Right.
it's like, him being high risk, he's getting a little antsy about being in the house, but he's doing great. Um,
Exactly. Now
yeah.
let me talk. Let's switch topics a little bit. Now, in terms of actual process of grieving and loss, now you went through this. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about it, and also people you work with. You've heard of Kubler-Ross, who wrote the famous theory of grieving and loss. The
I was
stages
gonna
of
say I've heard the name.
the stages of grieving. So she talked about we go through certain stages. Sometimes you skip
Yes.
them, sometimes you go through them. For example, the first one is called denial. You say, I can't believe that this happened, this diagnosis, and then you go into like anger. Anger could be at the doctor, maybe God, maybe at even the person who's leaving you, maybe
Uh-huh.
dying. Then there's bargaining, where you try to work it out. The doctor, help me, or I go to Mexico or some country to find a solution, or God, right? I'll stop
Yeah.
eating chocolate chips if you save my partner. And then of course, we go into depression, right? Sadness, where crying, maybe lack of sleep, or eating too little or too much. Kind of a numbness, emotional numbness and heaviness. And then we have what's called the upward path, where we try to figure out strategies for getting out of this grieving. Actually, my dad died 5 years ago, and I was very close to him. So I would watch YouTube videos on spirituality and talk to friends, try to find comfort. And then from there, you move into more solution focused, like you process the emotions and find a goal. And finally, there's acceptance. Not fully that this person died, or you're still going to have pain, but you can find a meaning in what happened and the love that lasted. So tell us a little bit. Did you ever go through any of these stages, or what's been your experience?
Oh, I feel like you just told my whole life
Oh,
story.
are you serious? Oh, no. Okay.
um,
Yeah.
I've been through all of those stages.
Okay. So tell me from the beginning. The dial, did that hit you first?
Um,
Or was it something
de-
else?
denial, because I believe, yeah, when he first got diagnosed, we were like, no.
Mm.
I do remember him saying no.
He said no, like I don't believe it. Like I'm a
Yeah,
young, healthy dude, right?
right. Otherwise healthy, right.
Yes.
So, we were like, what? But because of it being stage 4, we didn't have time to stay in that denial. We
Oh
had
yeah.
to act.
Okay. Okay, that's good. So
Um,
you jumped a level over there. So how about anger? Were you angry at anything? Life, God, doctors.
sure. Absolutely. I was angry with God for a long time.
Mm.
Absolutely. Because, like I mentioned before, I was still, harboring some anger and angst
Yes.
against God with
Oh, I
the
see.
death of
Yes.
my dad.
Right.
And then now the next wonderful man in my life might die again. Like, so, I questioned and I was angry for a long time.
I can see that. And then, of course, there's bargaining. They say, did you ever try to like bargain with God or with someone else? Getting fixed.
um,
Trying to find the
when,
best doctors and all that kind of stuff.
yeah, you know, I, I bargained, I'd say, probably with the medical system. I just,
Uh,
what else can we do? Like you're saying, like this isn't working,
yes.
but can you please find something that will work for him, that will bring him, the cancer free diagnosis. That's what we want. What else can we do? I
I
did
see your
ask.
emotions in your face right now. What are you feeling at the moment?
I'm just remembering those times
Mm.
back in 2017 when it was just all so new and I didn't know what the heck I was doing.
Mm.
I just wanted to keep him alive.
Is there sadness? I mean, are there tears in your eyes?
No,
But I mean,
no, there.
thinking back to those times, was there sadness in your heart?
Oh, absolutely. I was really sad. um,
Depressed?
yeah.
Okay. So I guess there's heaviness and all that, and that kind of feeling, right? That like, did you have headaches and not sleep well and all that kind of stuff?
Oh, yeah. I didn't really sleep very well. I actually developed migraines.
Oh, wow.
Um, and the eating, I
Oh,
either didn't eat,
yes,
or when I did get to finally sit down and eat, it
yes.
was like a 5 course meal at 10 p.m.
Oh no.
and
Okay.
then go to bed at 11. So it's not really
Did you gain weight
good.
or lose weight or
I did gain weight.
you get weight?
So uh, that wasn't my best moment in life.
Of course. Well, that's part of the reaction. Now, then finally, acceptance. Now, of course, he became healed eventually, but did you accept his condition? I mean, that he may die.
Um, I never have actually told him this. um, but at one point, I did accept it, and I think it's because of what happened with my dad.
Oh, I see.
If I had never had anybody pass away before them, maybe
Yeah,
not, but
but
I had accepted that possibly I might lose him after being married for a year or less.
wow, that would have been a double blow, right? Did your dad die? How many years before that? You said.
So he died in 2011.
Okay, so some time had passed, maybe 6 years. Uh, but you're still reeling from that. You were very close to your dad.
I was daddy's girl
Mama's
through
girl,
and
daddy's
through.
girl. Okay. Okay, so that's interesting. So then on that, and then finally, well, the idea of finding that hope, after a period of time psychologically, once you see the loss or the grieving part of it, is very important.
Right.
And the other thing is, coping with this whole grieving thing. Now we've had some people on the show that are, they deal with death and all that. But in terms of what you personally went through, and also you're going to help people, which is very wonderful, that are going through this process, right? Because you're going to be helping these clients, right? They want these events.
Right.
So they talk about things like self-care, like getting your massages, facials, exercise, doing things for yourself during these times. Also, not getting into bad habits like maybe overeating or substance abuse. But some people drink a lot or use drugs.
Right.
Also, things like finding the meaning in the loss, like or the losing part of it. Like the love that you have will survive, that kind of stuff, and that you went through it and made you a stronger person and things like that. And also not to make any big decisions during that time. Although you did make a big decision, right?
Yeah.
So that one you had to make, right? But other stuff, maybe like moving to a new city or something, you didn't want to make that kind of decision.
No.
Yeah. But then for the meaning, did you get to that point where you're finding some meaning in the suffering, and going what you went through?
Um, it wasn't until after he was, cancer free. So, um, and when I finally was able to sit and think like, okay, because I had given myself, like 99.9% of myself into being a caregiver,
Yes.
into him. And then when he was, cancer free, I was just like, okay, so then now what? What am I supposed to do? What does Ashley do now? Because all I knew was caregiving.
Right.
You know,
Did you
past
even give up your job a little bit, or you're just working extra? While
so I have been blessed to be able to work from home,
Oh, okay.
period. I do HR, contract work.
Yes.
So I've been able to work from home
Oh, great.
um, for the past 5 years now.
Okay.
Um, so I was able, like during his treatments and such, I was able to work from the hospital. Um, but yeah, so it wasn't, I was actually going to go away for 3 weeks to South America
Oh.
and back in March, or excuse me, April. And because of lovely COVID-19,
Hmm.
everything got canceled.
Hmm.
So I actually took that money that I had paid for my trip and invested it in myself
Oh.
with a business coach.
Oh, good.
Um, and, we worked through my passions,
Hmm.
my likes, my dislikes. Um, and then after, finally writing stuff down,
Yes.
and I was looking at it, and I just kept thinking, well, I say travel and event planning a lot. Like, what's going on here?
Okay. So you came
Um,
up with the idea for the business in part by your husband's cancer and how you recovered from it.
yes,
And the idea that other
exactly.
people are going to have the same desire, right? Maybe to marry or, to do events for, loved ones who are maybe terminal, and so forth. So that's kind of a great inspiration. That kind of gave you the power to do it.
Yeah.
Now, actually, the other thing is, in terms of the business part of it, because this is really fascinating that you're taking this business idea and a loving idea at the same time, right? So humanitarian. Now, how do you think that this is going to be different event planning for terminally ill than regular event planning? I'm thinking maybe the emotional side of it, having to counsel them, maybe even have a therapist on staff or someone that you can counsel them a little bit. And I'm thinking also insurance. I mean, are there insurance risks here? What if they die at the event? What do you do then?
Yeah, so you know what? That's
Unfortunately.
very interesting that you asked that.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely the emotional human, being a human,
Yeah, of course.
um, will be my biggest set apart from, competition
Yes.
as far as, just not I don't want to say regular, but, traditional events.
Right.
Um, so that part, being able to, let people know I know what you're going through. I've
Right.
felt it. And then having the event, hopefully we're gonna pray and hope nothing happens. But like the suggest, what you mentioned with someone passing at
Possible.
the event, that's something to always think of,
Right.
and um, might have to add that to the
Put it
contract.
down. Yeah, insurance, right? Okay.
Yes,
I mean, you got to be practical about it, but I mean, you're dealing with a lot of factors, right? Practicality, business,
right.
also love, and spiritual elements. And one thing I liked about what you said is that time is your most precious asset, and you take away that burden for them, right? Instead of them planning the event, you do it for them, so they can spend more time with their loved one.
Exactly.
But also, you talk about short time frame. I'm thinking, unfortunately, if they are passing in a few weeks or months, you got to go fast, right? So
Right.
how do you do that? What's your strategy for getting this thing done quick?
Yeah, so that's why I said I have, people that I know I can depend on. If I get someone that emails me or calls me and says, hey, like we just got news that my boyfriend is going to pass within the next month, I need someone that can do, XYZ. I need
Right.
photographer, makeup,
Birthday parties.
cake, all this. I've got those people that I can call and like, hey, we have to get up and get
Yes.
into gear.
Quickly.
So I have those people that I trust and that are ready to go for me.
That's important. Yeah. The speed of it. I mean, the compassion you already have, but putting it together, I think, is important. And what do you think are your biggest challenges in this new business you're doing? By the way, do you want to go on Shark Tank now? Now that I gave you the inspiration for it.
Yeah.
No, seriously,
Yes, I'm ready.
No, I'm serious. But you have to get your numbers, all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
Honestly speaking.
Numbers.
Yeah, numbers. Yeah, but still. But no, I think you can just pitch it. They obviously get a lot of submissions, but who knows? They love these philanthropic humanitarian ideas. The Shark Tank people. Did you ever see that,
Uh-huh.
by the way?
Um, you know, I haven't really thought of it in that way.
It's pretty cool. Well, you can ask for, I don't know, how much money would you ask for? Let's say right now that you might need to really expand your business.
To really expand it, at least 100,000.
I thought, okay, yeah. And how much percentage do you want to give up? They might ask you.
I could give up 10%.
Oh, there you go. Okay, there you go. Okay, you're rallying at $1 million, they say, right, based on that. Okay. Now, in terms of, so what are your biggest challenges and biggest rewards that you think will come from this business?
The biggest challenge is really just marketing for me, and who to market to.
Hmm.
You know, because of it being, and I realize how it may come off as, what you do events for who?
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
I have had no negative feedback thus far. It's all been like, wow, like this is amazing. I've
Yes.
never even heard of something like
Yes.
this. And,
Yes.
um, you know, I think the biggest reward would be to just be that beacon of light and hope for someone
Yes.
that's going through a tough diagnosis, you know, and being able to turn that frown upside down, as my mom would say.
I like that phrase.
But yeah, you know, just being there, I've become very more so vocal about caregivers, and you know, trying to make sure that caregivers, you know, take care of themselves, because if we lose ourselves,
Ah.
we're not going to be able to help that
Right.
terminally
Well,
ill
that was
or
my
that
concern for you,
chronically ill.
because you being a compassionate feeler, a lot of therapists get burnt out working with kids that are in trouble and all that. So how do you separate yourself from that? Are you able to detach a little bit emotionally, to protect your own, course?
Yes, and that's something that I've been learning. It's a continual learning process for
Right.
me, to kind of detach. Um, Troy will even be like, "Whoa, you know, maybe we need to come down a notch,
Right.
because that's not actually your life that you're worried about." I'm like, "Yeah, that's true." So it's still a continuous learning process for me,
Definitely.
but I am getting better at that, doing
So,
that.
so
'Cause
a couple of final questions. Actually, this is a little more personal to you, but I think you can apply it to people. Is first of all, how important is love in your life, and how do you define love?
uh, uh, love is love is very important to me. It's a feeling of hope and joy to
Ah,
me. Um, I don't, I'm not happy with Troy. I'm joyful with him,
oh, hmm.
because happy to me means something has to be happening
Ah,
to be happy.
hmm.
I am joyful and cheerful when I'm with him. You know, or, you know, it doesn't have to be with a husband, you know, your mother, brother, whoever.
How about your
Um,
dog? Do you like animals at all?
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Um, but I've become more more so in the moment.
Right.
Like love is when you just look at someone and you just smile and you're just like, you just, wow,
I like that.
wow.
It's beautiful. So that's a very internal trait you're talking about, almost like unconditional love. You know what we call agape in
Yeah.
terms. So you love the person kind of despite maybe external things, as opposed to you said happiness. You need maybe him to make a certain amount of money or her to do something to be happy.
Yeah.
So I like that concept. If you could tweet one phrase to the world, what would you tweet?
Celebrate life and love and stay fearless.
Beautiful. You just came up with that now, or is that one of your mottos for your company?
It's actually two of my mottos put together.
Okay, for the company or just in general?
Both.
Okay,
I use it for both.
okay, I kind of like that. Say it one more time so we can grasp it.
Okay. Celebrate life and love and stay fearless.
Ah, interesting. Okay, stay fearless. Hmm. So tell me how they go together, because I can see them kind of connected in a way.
Yeah, so, you know, life is meant to live. You don't want to
Yes.
stay in a box.
Right.
And some people stay in their little box because they're fearful. Well, don't be fearful.
Mhm.
Jump out of that box and live your life. Love, as much as you can. I end every conversation with my loved ones with a "I love you,"
Good.
talk to you later.
Yes.
So yeah.
Well, it's one of the biggest regrets people do have. I didn't say I love you enough, right? When people pass. But yeah, that's a beautiful phrase. Now, in terms of the future, now let's look at that because this is a very exciting thing you got going. I'm really supportive of what you guys are doing, and I can help you in any way that you need, and reach out to others. So I know you have a website. You got your events. Are you planning a book, seminars, or anything else in the future?
Yes. Actually, I will be. I actually have my book. I just
Really?
need to actually
Are you
get
serious?
it pushed out
Oh, okay.
because I'm going to put my daily journals that I wrote
Ah,
as I
okay.
was going through
Oh,
this
I see.
process with Troy,
Okay.
and make it into a book.
Oh, okay, beautiful. I'd love to see
It's
that.
like everything's written. I just need to
Oh, okay.
get it.
You got to put it down. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And tell us, okay, what's your website? How do we hear more about you?
Yeah, so website is www.timelessdreamevents.com.
Okay.
That's where people can go to look at a couple of the events I've done, book a chat with me, whether it's a caregiver that just needs to talk and, express their feelings, or, also someone that needs to plan an event.
Yes.
You can also find me at on Facebook at Timeless Dream Events, and also on Instagram at Timeless Dream Events.
Terrific. Are you going to be on Oprah anytime soon, or one of those?
I mean, I would love to have a talk show. I love to talk, so.
Oh, you do? Okay, you can tell that. Oh, so you want to be the next one instead of be on it, right?
I mean, if I'm not going to say no.
Okay, I like that. I like that. We got the personality for it. And I really like this concept. So actually, our show we're going to title it something like "Would you marry your soulmate if they were about to die?"
Ooh, that's a good
It's a
title.
hook, right? What do you think of that?
Oh, that's a really good title. That's going to be grabby. Like,
I think,
yeah,
yeah, I mean, because it really did happen, right? Because your soulmate, right? And they're unfortunately in a bad state, but you did marry him,
right.
and maybe it's part of that love that helped him pull through. There's actually studies on, immunology, based on psychology. Do you guys
Yeah.
feel that somehow helped them?
Yeah, he tells me that all the time. Sometimes I'll catch him looking at me. You know how I look at him and he'll be looking at me and I'm like, "What?" He's like, I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for you." And
That's
that's not
wonderful.
to toot my own horn or anything.
Sure,
They just like I said before, I didn't I didn't think leaving was an option.
definitely.
So,
That's beautiful. Well, Ashley, it's been wonderful to have you on the show. You're a lovely person. We'd love to have you on again. Maybe bring your soulmate husband on if you
oh
don't mind.
yeah.
We'll do a little dual chat and all that. And I don't know if you ever got to LA, where I'm at in California. We can definitely do a little something together, maybe. A little
All right.
seminar or
Yeah,
something.
awesome. That'd be great.
This is it.
He
So until
loves
next,
LA.
I love it. Yeah. Okay. Plan one of our events. Love University. We've done events in the past because one of our goals is to eradicate loneliness. In the world actually.
Okay.
Loneliness is a big problem, even more than many physical diseases. Because you're lonely, that means you're disconnected from yourself, others, and a higher nature. You
Sure.
feel isolated, even if you have people around you. I assume that with terminal illnesses and depression and all that stuff, people become very self-isolating.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
also now with the current virus as well. So, this is a platform, Love University, to help people connect worldwide on a loving energy basis, to help people have more compassion and empathy.
Oh, that's awesome.
And you're part of that, actually. So you're one of our now favorite speakers on the show.
Oh, thank you. It
So until
was
next
it was a
time,
great
Love
pleasure.
University. Yes, that was a great show with Ashley Jackson, Timeless Dream Events, planning for terminally ill people and their loved ones. It's a really a very touching story. Her fiance overcame cancer and they got married while he had the diagnosis. And she wants to help other people as well. So really, it kind of connects with Love University's concept of extending loving energy without expectation, through our loved ones, people that we just meet, in the world itself. So if you want to be part of Love University, you want to be a guest on the show, contribute an idea, give us some feedback, you can reach us at 310-226-8090. Visit us at loveuniversity.love. Email us at loveuniversitylove@gmail.com. You can also subscribe to us on Podbean, Spotify, SoundCloud, and iTunes. And make sure to follow us at Love Letter U Podcast for Twitter, Instagram. Like us on Facebook at Love University Podcast. Until next time, go out and tell your loved ones that you love them while they're still here and while you're still here. And go out and try to make every day a compassionate and empathetic day. Until next time, Dr. Alex Avila, Love University.